It's 6:30. I was thinking about Sabine Hassenfelder's video and Einstein and God. And a little young girl who worked at the bakery in Cochabamba. There was a bakery. They were very kind to me, and if I was ever really hungry, they would give me stuff. And she had a little sign in her. She'd made several little signs, and they'd put them in one of the cabinets underneath the till. And one of them was something like, if every seed you sow will grow. And I understood it. I mean, it doesn't matter what order you tried to do things. Eventually, the things you tried to do that were before their time or after will find their place in the order of events. And I mean, for me personally, personal time is connected with the growth of knowledge, or what I learn about the world. So as an individual, now is direct experience. It's when you sit down and connect with your immediate surroundings. And I was just doing that, and a guy walked down the track here, and he said, "Estás?" I said, "Good morning," and he said, "Are you making time?" And I said, "Yes." So we've got it all figured here in Mexico. Anybody want to come and see how it is doing physics in Mexico? Because I mean, we can help you with some of these problems, but just the everyday life problems are insurmountable. And I don't know if British, whatever that was, Institute of Arts and Culture is enough. What was it? I can't remember. It was I posted it on my blog. But the kind of the kind of time that you get from a completely abstract thing like Minkowski space-time, that's what I called kind of physics from God's point of view. And you can't expect that kind of view of the universe to have a whole lot of meaning in direct personal experience. Thinking about this poltergeist activity and things like this. I've never experienced it myself, so I suppose I should consider that it's some kind of pathology, but whether it's a pathology of stories, whether it's or whether it's an actual physical pathology, I don't know. There are a lot of energy sources in physics which aren't necessarily obvious. Remember a discussion I had with Ian Drummond. Ian Drummond is, I hope, he's a Professor Ian Drummond in the high energy physics group at DAMT. I had a discussion with him about these heat pumps that I'd heard that people in Scandinavian countries used, which could extract heat from the ground around a building. And yeah, you use energy to do that, but your aim is actually creating heat. So it doesn't matter that you're using energy to do it. You're also drawing on a reserve. So you switch, the building becomes your environment, into which is your entropy sink. Oh, I don't mean entropy sink. It's your cold bath that your engine is losing its heat. The work, I need to get back into that. This Creation Revisited by Peter Atkins. I'd like to read that again. It was really nice hearing Richard's voice and remembering his style. He was so gentle and kind, and I don't know how when I think of some of those theory group seminars and things that people were dragged into Cambridge to present their ideas, and bunch of people sat in a room and jumped down their throat, it seemed to me. I don't know how Richard... Well, he didn't have to, I suppose. He was inside rather than outside, so he didn't... It's a very funny place, Cambridge. I remember the introduction to John Conway came to Cambridge and presented this free will theorem. And this bizarre introduction where the guy stood up and started talking about how the main thing was to stop the wrong sort of people getting in. Richard was really good at math. I remember when I was struggling with an assignment. I used to do my Open University assignments, and sometimes I was sitting in the downstairs cafe working one lunchtime, I think. And Richard came past and he said, "Oh, what are you looking at studying?" And I said, "Oh, it's this metric and topological spaces." And I said, "I'm laboring a bit here." And just off the bat, he looked at it and he saw it, he got enough of it to be able to put me on the right track, just cold like that. I was really impressed. I got to pull this thing together somehow. So, buen día. Time and semantics in physics, yeah. I think you need tools to manage that, because it can get into a real mess if you don't manage your semantics properly. I gave that example of the charge on an electron and static electric charge on a piece of perspex or something. gauge bosons. But that's a really cute diagram of Sabina's with the rectangles and the diagonals. That's what we need, teaching tools. And in logic and computer science and mathematics in general, the teaching tools kind of meld into the research tools. I don't see why you can't produce decent teaching software systems that are also used for students can use to do their own work and researchers can use. Why isn't it integrated? Why can't Cambridge, for example, fund projects with other universities to produce things like, I mean, there are quite a few universities that teach standard ML, and we could really use a better standard ML environment than you know, Emacs with those macros. It works, but it's grim. And the standard ML syntax really throws students who are used to other languages. My students just kind of couldn't be bothered with standard ML because they could never remember whether you're supposed to put brackets in. They couldn't really tell the difference between pattern matching and expressions and things. So it takes quite a while to get used to that. But you really need a parser that can explain the errors, or you need a syntax-directed editor. And it's all there. You can do all that stuff in JavaScript with dynamic HTML and you need to be able to generate that code automatically from a grammar where the semantics are not the semantics of the language. The semantics are the instructions for writing JavaScript code that produces a syntax-directed editor. So and then that can edit itself. You can put its own syntax into itself and it's fine, it'll work. That's the kind of thing I was trying to get at. I'm a bit sad. John Conway's Fractran lecture is absolutely priceless. I mean, you can't, you can't throw that stuff away. That's one of the first things that you need to teach. We want to try out this editing language syntax thing. God, he was a scream, that guy. Absolute scream.